Welcome, everyone, to the After Action Report, a podcast from the Eden Project. I'm one of your hosts today. My name is Michael Stewart. This is my friend, my co-host, and executive director of the Eden Project, Bren Briggs. Hi.
Hello, everybody.
All right, so this episode is recorded at Rome at Trilith, designed to re-inspire work and meetings. Rome partners with you to create a better workday for you and your team with elevated office environments, productive workspaces, and all-inclusive meeting rooms. So here we are in this lovely room, lovely, beautiful day.
Yeah.
I know that podcasts last forever, but here in real life, the last 2 days, it felt like Seattle on steroids or something.
like the Noah building his ark, plenty of rain ready for that kind of stuff.
Very much so. So we're glad to have the sunshine here today. And, it kind of like leads into a topic of today that we're going to talk about in just a minute, having that sunshine in your life, things to brighten your world.
Right.
So let's recap last podcast.
Yeah. So gosh, it's been a while. It feels like forever, and it also feels like yesterday. So what did we talk about last time? A little bit of the history and why we are, who we are, what we are.
Sure. And I think, as we do that every episode or for a few episodes, people will start to get the idea of who we are, what we're doing. They can always visit eden-project.com. That's our main website, eden-project.com. You'll find out who we are, what we are, and why we are.
Right.
And then, of course, this podcast is an extension of all of that to help people who maybe just don't want to, spend too much time visiting a website. They'd rather pop this on in their vehicle, maybe at home while they're, doing things around the house.
Or they're not in the local area where they can visit one of the office or attend one of the peer groups.
Exactly.
So, I think that's what we were talking about was maybe gratitude last time. We talked about the fact that we serve veterans and veteran families and military. The website has a lot of resources on it, but this podcast is an extension of that. So we can reach the people that we couldn't reach locally.
Right. And we also spoke not only gratitude, but the gratitude journaling and how that helps. And it's a product that you have worked with closely and developed.
Yep. What was really cool since the last episode that we really introduced gratitude journaling, not just regular journaling, but we introduced gratitude journaling, and some people actually reached out through the website or through the email address that we may have left on the last episode, but they were thanking us specifically for showing what gratitude journaling is as opposed to just regular journaling. So that the comments were, thanks for explaining the difference. Thanks for giving us that opportunity. And they shared some things that they were grateful for and what had changed, just in a couple of days that they were journaling in a different way. So it was kind of cool.
Did you see a big difference in the types of things that they were finding gratitude in? And
so, it was only like a couple of days, but it was cool. The mindset was different. So some of the folks that wrote, it sounded like they were already journaling, but focusing on gratitude as opposed to just random thoughts that were, okay, today I had bacon for breakfast and my dog pooped in the neighbor's yard. It was just random stuff.
And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. So the neighbor's yard instead of their own yard. But they changed their focus from writing random stuff to being specific about gratitude, and the comments were that they actually did feel better. It just took a day or two, and they felt a little bit better just by focusing on gratitude.
Well, and we know that as we've talked about this, you find a lot of people who, I guess, when you turn your focus to some certain things, no matter what it is in life. The more you start thinking about it, all of a sudden you're going to start to see that more and more in your life. And that's with anything.
Have you noticed that? So we talked about this in our peer group last night. Have you noticed that you're seeing gratitude more, or is it just something that I'm seeing?
It might, well, I don't want to say something that you're just saying because I certainly see it as well, but I kind of live in that gratitude kind of style in life with my Christianity and my prayer life and all, and being grateful for the things that either I pray for or the things that are already there. So I kind of have lived more of that. But it does kind of go back that where you're seeing more gratitude is if somebody's focused on that, well, they're going to start to notice it. If I want to go through my life noticing, cranky, mean, bad people, I'm going to see the cranky, mean, bad people out there.
Yeah. Right? If you buy a white car, you're going to start seeing more white cars.
Exactly.
Well, So again, in the peer group last night, we were talking about gratitude, and because it's really what we focus on. But it looked like the more that I'm researching, the more I'm studying, the more I'm preparing for this show and the group, that it's like popping up on my news feeds. It's popping up in just a research and things that I do. My concern with this, and I love the fact that gratitude is popping up everywhere. I like that people are seeing it, people are doing it more, they're talking about it more. But my concern is it's going to become one of those words that just is one of those empty words, like love. Mm-hmm. This morning we were talking about, I love breakfast. The bacon we had, it was good bacon. I love my bacon.
You love bacon and coffee.
Love the sunshine. But do you love the bacon like you love your wife? No. Not the same. But we use that word as if it means the same thing. Can you imagine being a foreigner or like an alien landing here and trying to pick up our language when they hear that word thrown around all the time? That's kind of my concern with gratitude. What I'm thinking about, worrying about, concentrating on, whatever, is that people start to throw the word gratitude around just like we do or they do the word love. Mm-hmm. So I really want to be intentional with what we do to help people understand that gratitude truly is an action that we need to, back up a little bit, focus on truly being grateful for. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay. Do I love you? Yes, I
right.
do. Not like I love my wife.
Good. So what are you grateful for today?
Today, I would say that I am grateful for, sort of like what we touched on a moment ago, prayers that I had lifted up yesterday. And I find that I'll go through certain days where I'm just so busy, whether it's preparing for this, an acting role, or my voiceover work, to where if I pray for something and then it happens or it goes well, if I pray for something to go well, and then that's it. I lost, that was it. It was done. I'm learning to be more gratitude in the answering of those prayers.
Oh, good. Okay.
So I've been focused a little bit the last couple of days of being grateful for things like that, for God answering prayers, for the goodness in my life right now.
Awesome.
Is that?
Absolutely. So that's exactly what I'm looking for. Or it's not like there's a right or wrong answer.
Right. Well, of course. So, but what about you? What are you grateful for?
How about
today?
that? This has been a rough couple of weeks. Where it feels like we were just here yesterday. It also feels like yesterday was a month ago. Mm-hmm. Time is one of those weird things, right?
Right.
It's been rough. A lot of tough things going on at home. Some hard things with the family and out in the community where we're facing stuff. Or I take really, really heavy calls from people, and it's just been tough. But what has got me through that, or what I'm finding I'm able to lean on, are I've just got some really, really good friends. Mm-hmm. When it's those really, really heavy days, I know that I've got a couple of guys that I can reach out to, and just I'm not whining or dumping, or maybe I am whining or dumping, but I've got them for that. So that truly is something I can look back and say, that's what I'm grateful for is having people like that in my life. Because I know I can have those crappy days because I've got them that I can lean on. So thanks for asking.
I think everybody needs someone to share with. You can call it vent with. You can call it I just need to unload. Yeah. You don't have to solve my problems. I just want you to hear them.
Yep.
And now I feel like I've gotten that out of my system, and I feel better because someone that I care about is listened.
Yeah.
And B, I know that will stay between us, and there's just something about being able to release those emotions
and not be judged about exactly. What you're saying.
Right.
You can go there to safe place and talk, but that's been this past couple of weeks. I've had those opportunities that I'm able to just talk judgment free, mm-hmm. and share that stuff. Man, it would be a really hard couple of weeks without that.
You can imagine the people that have nobody to talk to, no kind of, an escape. And that kind of goes into our next topic, an escape for veterans and military brothers and sisters and such.
So that's exactly right. So, we talk about one of the things that we've mentioned a lot on the show that you'll see on our website, you'll hear in our peer groups, is that some groups provide an escape from reality. We provide the tools to deal with reality. And sometimes we have the opportunity to kind of dig deep into that. Generally, though, it's left on the surface and we only focus on the tools that we talk about. Well, I want to make sure that people understand escape is okay. Mm-hmm. We all need that escape. My wife and I, Nick and I, went to a movie this weekend. We went and saw Chosen, and that was a great escape for us. Mm-hmm. Friday night, you leave the world behind and spent 3.5 hours in the movie theater.
Three episodes, that's right.
There was an intermission in there, which I think I've only seen 2 movies with an intermission in the past. But that was a good escape for us.
Right.
We got to leave this world behind and spent 3 hours of that. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the other escapes that are out there for vets.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a real quick note on The Chosen. If you have, and I have to do this anytime I'm around a crowd,
right.
If you've never seen the TV series, The Chosen, you don't know what you're missing. You probably heard people talk about it by now. Do yourself a favor. Go to the Angel Network. It's an app that you can get on your smart TVs and smartphones and such, and start watching that. Start from season 1. They've got 3 seasons out, and as Bren just mentioned, they are starting season 4 in the theaters, and it's I think it's episodes 1 through 3. Few weeks have gone by. We may be into episodes 4 and 5 now and so on. And they're going to do that. And then finally it will be coming onto TV. But it is a wonderfully well done. And if you love these types of movies, you have to support these types of movies for more of them to be made. And
right.
Hollywood is seeing more and more of that these days for sure.
Yep. So, a lot of people, there was a book written, 2,000 years ago? So
it's a great book.
Yeah. If you've read the book, the movies or the shows kind of follow along with the book, but it's a really, really cool way to see the book kind of come to life.
It does. It you can read the words, but this is more like seeing the words in color.
And the personality behind it. I love the way that they created a personality. So it's a really, really cool way to do that.
It is. It really is. So as we speak now more about some of these escapes and other places that you've experienced personally and others that you do know, share some of that with us.
So probably one of them, the one that comes to mind, like the top of my mind when people ask me this question, is Wild Warrior Adventures. The executive director out there is Johnny Benton. And if you don't know his story, what I love about the internet, you can do a search, type in Johnny Benton or Wild Warrior Adventures, and you can see his story and see really what this organization does. So I spent a week with them. This group and some of the other ones we're going to talk about, they will fly you out to their location, and you'll spend. Sometimes it's kind of an intense week. Sometimes it's a couple intense days. And I'm not going to give away their secret because they do a phenomenal job with how they unpackage some stuff and put things together. But I wanted to learn how to fly fish. I've never fly fished in my life, but they will teach you how to fly fish if you're a veteran. If you already know how to fish and you just want to get away, they'll take that too. So this is probably one of the best escapes, if you will, or best organizations that will kind of take you out of your life and what you're going through, put you in a place to experience a little bit different, and just give you that break. They serve our warriors and their families through providing spiritual outdoor adventures in exceptional environments, away from distracting daily life, to find freedom from bondage, to build emotional and spiritual resiliency, and to lead a healthy, God-centered life. So that's Wild Warrior Adventures.
And you can find them at wildwarrioradventure.org.
Yep. So that's one that I have personal experience with. Mm-hmm. We work with a lot of vets, and over the last 8 years, there's another name that comes up all the time. I've not personally been there, but the guys and gals that I know have gone through speak really, really highly of an organization called Mighty Oaks. Now, Mighty Oaks is also a peer-based peer-based organization. They will fly you from wherever you are to one of their locations or to their location. Peer-based and faith-based program.
Right?
Yeah, so I love that about both of those groups we just talked about are both peer-focused, but also have a faith-based component to both of the groups. Again, I don't have personal experience, but everything I've heard about that one has been phenomenal.
And you can find more about them at mightyoaksprograms.org. That's mightyoaksprograms.org.
Now, this next one, I do have experience with, and they're really, if I pause, and you can see me, thank God they can't see me right now. I get a little choked up.
I've got a camera on your there we go.
I get a little choked up about this one. So this is Warrior Path, and it's PATHH. If you were to ask me what that stands for, I don't remember right now. I wrote it down and knew it before, but for the life of me, I can't think of what the acronym PATH stands for. Mm-hmm. But basically, it's one of our partner organizations. Again, it's a life-changing experience it's really good design for combat vets and first responders. But they'll take you, I think they've got 10 locations around the country. They'll do a quick assessment over the phone or on the internet, get you to one of the locations for about 5 to, I think, 6 days. Super intense, but it's absolutely worth it. They focus, or their program is based on a post-traumatic growth model. The belief is there's strength through trauma. You can use trauma to grow. Actually, you can be stronger after a traumatic event if you know what to look for and so forth. So one of the most powerful programs, powerful experiences is Warrior Path.
And they have several locations across the country. You can find them at bouldercrest.org. Is that correct? Yeah. bouldercrest.org.
I don't know all their locations, so we talked about that. That's like the central hub, and from Boulder Crest, you can find the one that's closer to you.
And now we have shared with folks, not only through the Eden Project online at eden-project.com, but also in this podcast, that we're a little different from what those organizations, and we're not taking away from them at all. We love what they do, and we're happy to promote them and do that. But what about them versus what we do is different. Yeah.
So what I think I might have kind of mentioned it or skimmed over. What they do is they'll fly people from around the country to their location, and you'll spend an intense week doing whatever it is, whatever their program is for a week at their site. Well, we do it a little bit different in that we're local, we're in the community, and we're focused on the veterans who live in a certain geographical area. Mm-hmm. So we'll take, our program is about 50 hours long, 13 weeks. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours a night for 13 weeks. So we trickle in the information. Mm-hmm. Ours is a cognitive behavior type model where you change what you're thinking and how you're thinking, and that changes your behavior. But instead of doing it all in 1 week, we trickle it in over 13 weeks.
I like that, and we're going to get into some of the deep topics that are involved in that trickling over time as we go through our multiple episodes that will be up and coming. But we want the listeners to have these resources handy for the things that we provided from other folks, but also from us as well. So let me just throw this one out there. I know it's not necessarily on our script. Somebody's in Colorado and listening right now and says, how can you help me? I'm whatever situation I'm in.
Well, so it doesn't have to be Colorado, and I'm glad you brought that up. We've got a listener in Oklahoma. He writes to me all the time. It's one of those things that, hey, I love what you're saying. What about this? Or how can I get some help? It's really those kind of people that this show is geared for, the ones who are not in a local place where this model of peer program is available yet. So until we can get this everywhere that it needs to be, we're going to put in as much as we can into the podcast episodes, like the one we're going to talk about real soon.
Right.
We're going to talk about box breathing. That's a phenomenal wellness practice or tool or whatever you want to call it that we cover in our peer groups.
That's good, because I brought my box and I'm ready to learn more about box breathing.
You're going to teach your box how to breathe.
Oh, so it's not breathing in a box. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. What exactly is box breathing?
Yep. So a lot of organizations, and really it's a lot of military groups, depending on what branch you were in or even what specific job you had in the different branches. There's a lot of different breathing techniques. One of the ones, well, not one of the ones, the one we're going to talk about is box breathing. Mm-hmm. And we keep it relatively simple. I was in a program a couple of years ago, and I was actually teaching someone else's program. And one of the guys afterwards came to me like on night 3 or night 4, all stressed out. He had a triggering event or something happened during the day, and he was stressing like, oh, I'll use that breathing technique. But the breathing technique required like a certain number. You know, like you breathe in for a certain number and hold it for a certain number and breathe out. He stressed out because he couldn't remember the numbers. So he was already in this triggered event. He was already stressed out. And then he got even more stressed because he couldn't remember the numbers. So we picked something that's super easy. You just have to remember the number 4.
The number 4.
The number 4. You breathe. Basically, I mean, we'll go through this in detail. You breathe in for 4. You hold it for 4. You breathe out for 4, and hold it for 4. And you do that.
So research on this breathing shows it's not only useful for stress management, but also reducing blood pressure, minimizing hypertension, improve your mood, provide greater feelings of happiness, and reduce feelings of depression. Another big,
huge
symptom of many things that veterans themselves have gone through.
Yeah. So this is not just our research. It's not this anecdotal evidence that we have from guys in our groups that we're working with. This is peer-to-peer reports that have been published. It's scientific journals that have been published. Years and years of study have gone into this, and again, breathing in general, not just our specific method, but this type of intentional breathing does everything you just now said. So if someone has post-traumatic stress, this is going to help reduce the symptoms of post-traumatic stress. You mentioned depression. The one that got me that I had to read it and I had to look up other reports to validate pain management. So if you're dealing with a lot of pain, headaches, stress pain or stress issues, box breathing, we're going to talk, will decrease the pain and a lot of the other stuff people go through.
Yeah, and there's also anxiety disorder. I know some people that deal with a lot of anxiety in their life right now, and that's, let's face it, it's not only veterans who deal with many of these. I don't know if you want to consider them all disorders and such. Panic disorder, insomnia.
Yeah, that's what I love about what we're doing now. Our peer groups are designed for vets and first responders, but anybody that's listening, anybody listening can use what we're talking about. And whether you're right, it doesn't have to be a vet, first responder, or whatever. These tools and techniques we're going to talk about, or that we have been talking about, are good for everybody.
Some of the notes that we have here, according to the Mayo Clinic, there's sufficient evidence that intentional deep breathing can calm and regulate the autonomic nervous system and regulate involuntary body functions.
Right.
I could go for a joke there, but but this one has temperature is
right
there. But there's other involuntary body functions that I'm sure it might help as well.
Yeah.
So let's do it. Let's do the box breathing. Tell me all about it.
All right. So this is one of those things that if you're really self-conscious about what you're doing or going through, this is one of those things you can do, and no one around you necessarily is going to know. I love my wife, but I really don't like some of the places that she drags me to. Mm-hmm. Those big box stores. Am I allowed to say this on the air?
Sure you can.
Costco,
Sam's, Walmart.
There are times of the day that it's like Disneyland in there. I mean, there's just people everywhere, and they're crowded and milling around and doing stuff, and it's just not my cup of tea. Mm-hmm. We know now that before I even get out of the car to go in, I go through the box breathing, and she'll see me start to white knuckle the buggy, and she knows, and I know that's the time that I've got to stop and for a moment and take that breath. Right. But whether you're at Costco, if you're out in public, or you're about to make a phone call to that person you maybe don't want to talk to, mm-hmm. This is one of those things. Or sitting in traffic, maybe Atlanta traffic is notorious for high stress and anxiety.
Oh, sure. Because nobody else other than us knows how to drive.
This is one of the simplest, easiest tools you can do anytime, anywhere, whatever. So, yeah. Okay. So you want to just jump into it?
Yeah. How to box breathe by Bren Briggs.
so like we said earlier, we want to keep it simple. You don't have to remember a whole bunch of different numbers and whatever. It's just super simple. You can do it anywhere. You can, in your car, at home, at the grocery store, before you go to bed at night. What we've read, this is a great tool to help people relax and help them sleep better. So basically, like you and I are right now, we're sitting down. So, sit down, get comfortable. And then the first thing is you're going to focus on, what am I about to do? Well, I'm going to intentionally focus on breathing. So breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds.
Okay.
You'll breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, and you'll hold it. You're holding it for 4 seconds. So that's like the downside of, the second leg of the box.
Right. So breathe in for 4 seconds.
Yep. Hold it for 4 seconds.
And hold it for 4 seconds. Okay.
Yep. And then, so you're breathing in through your nose. Mm-hmm. And then you're holding it for 4 seconds, and you'll breathe out your mouth for 4 seconds.
And then step 4, repeat 1 through 3 until you feel recentered.
So that part is, and I apologize for that. That's a mistake on on the notes that I put over for you. Okay. So if we followed that, that's a triangle. So.
Okay.
Right, and I apologize. That's my notes.
You'll feel re-triangled.
No. So once you breathe in. Hold it.
I'm gonna do. All right. So I'm just gonna do this while we do this. Right. Okay. So you do the instructions.
I'll talk you through.
Yep. Okay. Here we go.
Okay. Breathe in for 4 seconds through your nose.
And I'll even get close to the microphone just
so you can. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold it for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now breathe out your mouth for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's box breathing.
Okay.
You can do it once. You can do it 4 or 5 times in a row. But it's personal. So if you say, once worked for me, I feel grounded, I feel recentered, everything's good to go. If you need to do 2, 3, 4 times, however many times you need to kind of find yourself stabilize, then you're good to go.
I think this would be good for a lot of different ways. I know in certain work situations, not when I do on-stage stuff, whether it's acting or MC work and things like that, people used to ask me, "You ever get nervous when you go out?" I was like, I actually don't.
Wow.
I mean, there might be a slight nervousness, if I know certain people are in the room or things like that, but I don't generally get stage fright.
I get nervous coming in here to do this. And you can do all of that and not get nervous.
Well, and as a side note, a couple of weeks, or about a week and a half ago, I was MC of the Arts Alive Gala for the Fayette County Arts. Hang on, somebody's got to silence the phone today. For the Fayette County Arts Council and the Georgia Academy of Dance and Performing Arts. And you and your wife were one of my guests at our table there, and you saw how they would. We have a script and how we're going to go
throwing stuff at you at the last minute.
But yeah, I mean, hey, we need you to go up and say this and not say this. And you have to think on the fly like that. And so I thought, if I ever was this kind of guy that would be nervous or something, in this kind of situation, this would be good for me to do, although I don't need it for that. But I do need it in other work. Like if I'm having a stressful day with either clients and there are audio commercials for radio or television, things like that. I've just been to the point where I've just got to stop and go, serenity now. Yeah. So
we have guys that we work with in the court system. We teach 12 different practices. At the end of our peer group, we always ask, what their favorite one is, and as a group, they get to pick their favorite one, and we do that one again as a group. But the ones that are going through court almost unanimously come back to this when they say they use this the most, and it's become their tool of choice, if you will, dealing with those high stress events.
Well, so if anyone's interested in box breathing, again, breathe in through your nose, count 4 slowly, hold your breath for 4 seconds. Don't, try to keep breathing in even more, and then exhale out of your mouth for 4 seconds, and then hold that for 4 seconds, and like the expelled breath, hold on to that, and then do it again as many times as you feel needed, and that is box breathing. So
I didn't ask you, and I realize you only did it once, but did you feel any different after you did that?
I definitely know. Being in the voice world, I do some breathing techniques and such that I use. So, I definitely know the benefits of doing this.
Yeah.
Getting control of your breath is definitely one of the best ways to get control of your mood and your body and what you're thinking at the moment. And so definitely know the benefits of it.
So one of the first place I learned, I was probably 18, 19 years old when we would go to the rifle range, shooting, controlling your breath, managing your breath, and knowing when to squeeze that trigger. It all worked together. The folks who, if they're doing it for the first time, they're listening to this and they're like, hey man, I want to try that. If you feel a little lightheaded, if you feel a little dizzy, or your fingers feel tingly or something, that's not uncommon. That's just you're getting oxygen in, the CO2 is doing its thing, and then you're releasing it out. It's that exchange. That's all normal.
Okay. But if you're doing it while driving, stop that.
Yeah. And don't close your eyes.
Exactly.
It's not a thing you do with your eyes closed. But if you're feeling that, then that's all normal and part of the process.
Okay. Looking ahead to some future episodes, and we're looking forward to some more of these wonderful techniques and such. And I know that you've got plenty to share, and we're going to be doing these on upcoming episodes of this podcast.
Yeah. So each one. So we started with journaling because journaling was relatively easy. We went to breathing, and it's really common and easy to do. As we go on, we're going to they're going to be a little bit more complex, and all we ask is that people try them. If you try it, if you hear it, like, hey, I want to do that, just give it a shot. If it doesn't work, didn't cost you anything, maybe a couple seconds, but just give it a try. But they'll get progressively, I won't say more complicated, but they'll just different.
Maybe a little more in depth.
Maybe more. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Where this one is super easy. The next one we're going to talk about is the 5 senses. So breathing, you're focused on one thing. Mm-hmm. The next one we're going to talk about will be the 5 senses, and we'll leave it hang. We'll make them tune in and hear the details on that
most definitely. And we will also have a guest on our next podcast as well.
Pretty excited about that. Yeah, we've got. I think it's going to be a really fun. Are these called episodes?
Sure.
Shows? We'll call it an episode.
We'll call it episodes.
I think it's going to be a fun episode with a guest we have coming in.
So as we wrap up episode 3 of season 1, and looking forward to episode 4, we will have guests, and we will have multiple guests. I know on our very first podcast, we shared one who's a fan, not only a supporter of veterans, but also of what the Eden Project is doing. And that's Phil Ehart from the band Kansas, the drummer for Kansas.
I'm excited to have him come in.
I can't wait to get him here. In fact, probably my first phone call, we'll be calling him and saying, can't wait to get you in here. Let's set up a date.
Let's get the time together.
Exactly. So again, thank you so much to Rome at Trilith, who allows us to use this wonderful room to where we are recording today. We're thankful to you, the listener, who tunes in, and we're seeing an increase each week on the number of people who are tuning in, downloading, and there's multiple places that you can get your podcast, wherever you get your podcast from, that you can find us. Yeah.
And also keep writing in and letting us know. Mm-hmm. If the box breathing worked for you and you loved it, let us know. If you hated it, let us know that too. I'd love to hear from anybody about what's going on. If you just need to talk to somebody, reach out and contact us.
Yeah.
The best way is probably eden-project.com and click on Contact Us. An email address is admin@eden-project.com. But yeah, we'd definitely love to hear from you.
And your phone, do you want to give your phone number?
You always ask about the phone number. Give me 1 second.
Well, I mean, I can ask about that, but
I should have it memorized.
It's obviously on the website as well, too, so.
It should be something. I don't have my own phone number memorized. I've got the same number that I've had since, the early 90s.
Yeah.
But here we go. Here's the phone number for the Eden Project. It's 678-632-5383.
One more time.
678-632-5383.
And eden-project.com. That's where you find out all about the Eden Project, who we are, what we do, and why we do it.
Yep.
And again, on behalf of Bren and myself, we thank you so much for being part of this podcast, whether it's your first time tuning in or you've been, listening. Like, ran into a friend at church and said, "Hey, I caught the podcast the other day." I said, "I'm really grateful for it." The After Action Report, a podcast from the Eden Project. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks a lot.
Everybody, thank you again. Have a wonderful day.